Welcome to the 9B podcast once again.
Do it. Can you
This
get them all?
is the Beer, Bourbon, Boulevardier, Business and BS from 3 bloviating, bombastic bros in Bryan, Texas.
He did it.
Yes, I did do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, today's topic,
All right.
this is going to be wild, is the statistical odds of outrageous family success. Here's the prompt. I prompted Grok to do this. What are the statistical odds that a young American male graduating from high school in 2026 will be able to earn enough money to afford a home, get married, stay married to one wife, have 4 or more children, and remain gainfully employed long enough to see his children exit his household and raise stable families of their own, such that he gets to see his great-grandchildren thrive in similar prosperity without divorces or becoming dependent of the state?
What are the odds of that?
Yes. What would you guess?
90-10? I'm a hopeful. I'm an optimist.
Okay. Now, I prompted, and I'm going to give you the results of that, but then I added another addendum. Okay? Now, second prompt is adjust all figures to account for multi-generational religious devotion to the Christian church. Do those increase at all? Does it increase the statistical odds at all if all members of all generations remain devoted in their faith? Ready for the results?
This is some clickbait right here.
Is it?
You'll never guess what happens to the second generation.
Dun. Okay.
They make it. It's good.
The odds of all of those things, owning the homes, gainfully employed, all of that, one marriage, one lifetime, one in 3 million.
Oh.
Those are the odds. 1 in
Ouch.
3 million. When you add multi-generational devotion to the Christian faith, it goes to 1 in 30.
Okay.
So you go from statistical odds of maybe winning a lottery to 1 out of a classroom. 1 out of 30.
All right.
That's more than 100,000-fold improvement. This is not magic. It's the result of institutionalized social capital, behavioral norms, and community support that systematically counteracts modern economic and cultural headwinds. This is what Grok spit out. Okay.
Jeez. Grok's so wise.
For the 2026 graduate, joining and raising a family in a devout, family-oriented church is the single highest leverage intervention to make this vision statistically plausible. Go
Question. On. What sects or denominations, if you will, are making the cut as Christian?
Okay, we didn't get that specific.
Who's in?
Yeah.
Are you
and
in?
Who is out?
You
Who's
put
out?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in there?
I didn't, but I don't know what Grok says on that.
We're not asking Grok to parse those lines
Parse
for
that
us.
out. All right.
2026,
Jehovah's Witnesses?
Grok starts the Holy Wars.
Okay,
That's the headline.
so no single study tracks this exact chain of events, right? I prompted it in a way that
That's a long study.
nobody is like stacking all of those variables in just that way. However, we can estimate the cumulative statistical odds by changing probabilities, and they're going to do that by pulling U.S. demographics, economic, social data, all of that. These are independent multiplicative probabilities for simplicity. In reality, factors correlate. Example, stable marriage boosts fertility and employment. Makes sense. By the way, all this data reflects 2020 trends.
2020?
2020 trends, okay? Let's see. There were some other really
Something
interesting
happened that year.
things.
A census?
That's what it was.
I'm going to see if we can embed this chart, but it's fascinating. You
Can we
get
zoom in on it?
yeah.
Can we show it on a camera?
I mean, I'm going to see if I can just get it to layer in.
Okay.
We're
But
gonna put it in post.
the highest
Wait.
probability out of all of those variables is home ownership, but that is at 37%. There's a 37% chance that he'll be able to own his own home. Then it goes down to 26%.
Did Grok factor in the trying to own a reliable,
Forerunner?
durable car?
Ford Focus.
No,
That didn't make it into
it
this?
didn't make it. Wait.
We just talked about that.
That was a different
So-
episode, though. Is the Forerunner, right? Okay, so 37% you own a home, 27% that you marry once, so it's going down, and then down to about 14% that you're going to be in a lifelong marriage. Only 14% that you're going to be in a lifelong marriage.
12% you're going to be in a lifelong career. Only one career.
Yeah. Check this out. 4 kids plus, you're down to 2% odds. That's how rare all of those things are. Gainful
thing.
employment all the way through is about 1%. That the kids are stable, we're down to sub 1%.
All kids stable.
Yes. And that your grandchildren are thriving is almost statistically 0.
That scares the hell out of me.
That is the reality.
The
But-
kids not being stable.
Right.
Yeah. I just assume all those things are going to happen for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of operate off of that stance that this is the life for me.
I just have hope.
Yeah.
I trust.
Exactly. It's not so much that you're saying I feel that supremely confident in my own abilities
Yeah.
or whatever.
No,
it's
definitely not.
Walking
that.
in my vocation,
Yeah.
doing what I've been called to do,
That's right.
Doing it
as I've
faithfully.
been
Yeah.
called to do it.
It's
That's
not
right.
entitlement. I mean, I definitely don't feel entitled or deserving of those kinds of things. I just also know that that's like central to conversations with my kids all the time.
Okay, so each of these variables has this compounding cumulative effect, right? So why the massive uplift for those who are devout in their faith? They're going to examine the mechanism and the impact. Grok did this, yeah. The marriage market, that's the mechanism. The impact, church creates high trust, values aligned dating pools, which lead to earlier and better matched marriages.
Yeah, that's conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
Behav-
The idea, I think Dave Ramsey says this thing, that there's really 3 things that cause divorce. There's like mismatch in religion, mismatch in money, and mismatch in how many kids are we going to have. It's like those 3
Like
things.
vision for the family.
Vision for the family, yeah.
Okay.
Those are his 3 variables.
I thought it was mismatching what we're going to have for Sunday dinner.
No, that's just
That's
Sundays.
just your house, I guess.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
just Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all are okay. You're okay.
Okay.
So marriage market 1, the next mechanism is behavioral regulation. So the impact is lower premarital sex, cohabitation, substance abuse, therefore fewer disruptions. And then social capital is church equals job leads, free child care, emergency aid, and mentorship.
Mm.
That's a high view of what's happening in the local church, and I hope and pray that that's true. But
Seems to make some sense.
yeah,
I mean, it'd be nice to get a little more free child care, let's be honest.
We're going to reference big family.
okay. Norm transition. The impact is 3-generation consistency means cultural inheritance of a work ethic, of thrift, and the priority on family. Makes sense? And then the last mechanism is fertility culture. Large families celebrated, not penalized. Communal support reduces the cost of burden, especially if you can get, the oldest generation to actually provide
Yeah.
support for what's happening in the rising generation. I was encouraged. 1 in 30, 1 in a classroom, that's not like amazing numbers, but it makes me have hope. It makes me think
Yeah.
it's within reach versus 1 in 3 million.
Yeah. So what's the takeaway here? What's the advice? Get yourself to a church.
Sure. And start with a mentality that says get married early.
Yeah.
Be in thick community, spiritual community with other people. Know that you're in it for the long haul. Never take the exit hatch. And then inculcate all of this into your people.
Yeah. We had a buddy years ago who used to say, "You want the life plan, young man? Here it is." And he was actually telling this to a 14-year-old dude, so that was kind of fun to watch. But he said, "Get employed, buy land, put a house on the land, put a wife in the house, put a baby and a family in that home. That's your plan." And I was like, well, that's an interesting order of events right there. But that seems to follow success metrics.
But all of those things are easier if you have an older generation that's willing to help make those things possible.
Yes. Training and encouragement and support
Capital.
And money.
Right. Yeah, and there exists in older generational cohort some sort of stigma about helping the rising generations. Like, well, nobody helped me, or I worked hard for what I got, or if I help and invest, then they don't know how to struggle, and then they don't feel like they really pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps, and it actually handicaps them. There's all this sort of narrative that runs in their minds.
That's a weird narrative.
That is truly strange when you realize that you could actually be having massive impact in the rising generation.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like they weren't tutored into that either.
Right. They weren't trained in it.
I think in our case, Robin, in my case, we didn't necessarily have a lot of, we had financial help from both sets of parents, but not massive support. Not like we're buying you a first house or something like that. But I think what we really had was we had common religiosity with one another and on both sides. We had both sets of parents married to their first spouse and to the spouse of us.
Mm-hmm.
How many generations did that go back?
Oh gosh, I mean, as far as I know.
Yeah, that was the norm.
Yeah, that was the norm.
Yeah. And how many kids did you have? And their age range today is what?
6, and their age range is 17 to 3.
Right.
And then like pretty thick community, even on my side in an suburban environment in Colorado, still pretty thick ethnic and religious community, at least memory of that.
Helps.
And then very much so on her side, small town Texas. But that was the difference maker, and that's the and our children seeing that modeled, and that's the reality.
Yes.
That's what like normal life is.
Yes.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, that's good framework. But it's also going away, or it's harder to find.
Mm-hmm. Which means that, like, before I get on a soapbox about boomer generation and all of that, it just means that I am going to have to be that in my grandparenting days. So I'm kind of like, here I am
Even
in
more
early
so.
40s. Yeah, and I'm already kind of mentally prepping for, okay, how can I help buy the first house? I'm going to have to get there mentally, even though that may not have been part of my upbringing or my experience.
Yeah, I was going to say there's two things. One is there's a lot of press right now about fertility rates and replacement rates and how, the U.S. needs to sort of
Pick up the pace
a little bit.
Come on, everybody.
Eventually, you don't want to
I'm trying
become.
to do my part over here.
You're doing great.
Go make up the babies.
But like South Korea and Japan are they're
gosh.
totally in bad shape. And it's one thing to say that, but then when you look at the trend line, it's like not going the right way. And I just heard about a city that some of the local church people were like bumped into each other in coffee shops and realized we go to different churches, but are you noticing this about replacement rates and about young people not being able to find one another or create marriages or whatever? And they actually found one or two people, young people from there, in like you graduate college and you're 21, 22 years old to 30. So they created a window of like 22 to 30. And they found some key people and they said, we want you to spread this around in the city. And that is that on August 21st at this coffee shop, free pastries, you buy the coffee, and you invite as many people as you want, but they need to be between 22 and 30 and go to a Christian church and coffee provided. That was it. And they had hundreds of young people show up on a Saturday morning for pastries and coffee to mingle and mix and just have conversations and meet one another. Like the church people saw this is a problem that they're not actually connecting. What can we do?
Yeah.
And we actually know somebody who met the person that they proposed to later, just from that context.
Right.
So just providing an excuse or a context for why this would be a very normal thing to do. It's just coffee and a pastry, and it's making a way for that to happen. That's an older generation looking at a problem and going, what can we do to help facilitate an answer? I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that's encouraging. There's some hope there.
Yeah.
It is a little bit like kind of harkening back to the old ways. I don't know, mixer in the church basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Pretty cool. Anything, Dr. Romansky?
I think that's good.
I
Yeah.
think that's good.
That's a good hopeful place to end.
That's where we want to end, is on hopeful things.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I'm not in the dating pool right now. It would just
Be terrible.
yeah. I don't want to be there. I don't think anybody else would want me there. I'm just very thankful for my wife and family.
That's right. All right. That was it. We just completed season 1.
Attaboy.